Welcome back to Two Homers and a Realist. This is the pod right before the spring game.
Full strength.
We are at full strength. It is a beautiful night after a stormy night in Oklahoma. That's the way it goes, I guess.
Yeah, thoughts for those affected, though.
Yeah, hopefully everybody is safe and recovering. Very sorry for the people that had any damage, and of course sorry for is it just 2 fatalities?
I've seen 3.
3, that's very sad. Very sad for those families. Hearts and prayers and thoughts for them. But we power on. This is a beautiful night. It's kind of the way it goes in Oklahoma. After a stormy, ugly night, we get a beautiful night under the stars. We got a fire going. We got drinks flowing, and we got cigars
being
smoking. I'm Steve.
Lucas.
Connor.
Jay.
Yeah.
I thought we were going.
I thought I was always last.
It's
clockwise.
Is it clockwise?
It's clockwise.
Yeah,
we went over this in the pre-thing.
I'm not
It's
that
clockwise. Oh my God! All right.
That's all right. Hey, it's off season.
That's right. We
Or
work
it's
on
right
those
before
things.
the-
We work
right
on
before
that
the
I
stuff.
think we do
game.
have one listener that hates when we say our names. So.
We do.
Let's do it again.
Shout out to that guy.
Shout out to Matt.
He doesn't like when we say our names.
He doesn't.
Were you not here for that one?
No.
Oh, yeah, you weren't here for that
Yeah,
one.
he was talking about how Matt hates how we say our names.
Well, Matt,
Thanks for listeing.
appreciate
Appreciate
the
it,
listen.
buddy.
This is
but,
Lucas. Thanks for listening.
Give us more feedback. Steve says, give us more feedback.
Yeah.
Appreciate it all. So we got a lot to cover. We got the spring game coming up. It's on Saturday. Hopefully the weather holds. I had a poll this week. How many? I didn't even look at the results. Let me look at the results.
I hit the wrong button.
So you hit. What did you
I
guess?
fat fingered it.
How bad does that suck that Twitter doesn't let you undo a
a
vote?
poll.
You can't undo anything on Twitter, remember?
That's true. You
can't
can edit. You can. There's an edit button now, isn't there? Didn't they do that?
No, there's not. Elon
There's
still has
not?
not done
I
that. He
think
took
the-
away all the blue check marks,
Yeah,
but
today
he's
is
not.
the end of blue check mark.
He has not
That's right.
given us an edit button.
Well, we luckily
kept
didn't
some blue
have a
check marks
blue
for some
check mark,
people.
so we didn't have to worry about
I
it.
think he's purchased. He's
He
paying
said,
for
I'm
some blue
personally
check
paying
mark."
for
Yeah.
some of these because LeBron was
Oh.
saying, I'm not paying for a blue check mark, and then he still had one. And then Elon's like, well, I'm personally paying for some of these.
Well, this is interesting. So on looking at the poll, we had 46%. The plurality said less than 60,000. The choices were less than 60 to 70,000
For
basically.
attendance.
For attendance, I'm sorry, yeah. 70 to 75,360, which is last year's record-setting attendance, and then greater than 75,360. That was the next highest pick. 31%
Wow.
thinks that it's going to be greater than last
Those
year's.
people don't know football.
They must be. I don't know if they know football or they just don't know anything.
There's
just
no
no
chance
way.
of that.
No,
There's a
there's
lot
no
of there's
way.
a lot of kids on Twitter nowadays, so big
It-
numbers.
It's the bottom one.
So what was
It's
your
under
wrong?
60.
You accidentally hit
I
60.
fat fingered 60 to 69,
Yeah,
and I think it's going to be under 60.
I think it's going to be under 62. I
Especially
guess
with the
under
weather, it looks
60.
like it's going to be cooler than people thought. It's gonna be
cooler, but
60
not
degrees.
awful. Not
No.
awful. Yeah. So that's a good. 60 is still a good number. 60 is better than. I don't know. 60 might be the second best attendance in OU
I don't
spring
think
game
it's
history.
60. I think it's going to be closer to 50.
well, I think it's gonna be between 30 and 40.
That would be pretty bad.
I think it really is. I think it's gonna be pretty underwhelming.
So that'll be interesting. That'll be telling. Maybe.
Good thing we have assigned seats then.
Yeah,
great
that's
job.
right.
For a
yeah.
third
Great
of the stadium,
job.
I'm
Great
glad we have
job, OU
assigned
took it off
seats.
us
Oh
there.
man, well, yeah. Let's.
That's ridiculous.
Well, we'll get into that. Let's get into that at the end. I don't want to start because
They've had years
if
where,
I start griping,
they've
I
had
don't
the
know if
end
I'll be
zones
able to
blocked
stop.
off and still not had assigned seats.
Honestly, though, that sucks for people who can't normally get premium seats. This might be like the one time a year that they actually get to sit where they want to sit.
Oh, and you're saying they wouldn't be able to get them in this assigned seating world because
Yeah.
all the donors would jump in front of them? I mean, it was first come, first serve.
There's tickets still on
So-
the 50 in the upper decks.
No, but
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying. Like normally, you just general admittance, you can go sit wherever you want.
Yeah,
to.
I mean, in years past, I've done it to where, like, I got my season tickets in 2000. Like, after the 99 season, I went to every single game, and then I thought, I sat in probably, during that season, I sat in, I think, 5 different places probably out of the, I think we have 7 home games that year, I don't remember.
Yeah,
But I sat in 5 different places, I think, that season, and then I decided obviously the end zone is the best seats in
Yeah,
the
all
world.
our non-con were home that year.
So then I
So,
got season
did
tickets
you get hit in the head by something
in the
hard?
south end zone, and then during the spring games, I would literally just continue to sit in different places just to see if I'd change my mind or see if I liked sitting lower or higher, stuff like that. But now with assigned seats, it's not really.
To me, the assigned seats, and I swore we wouldn't get into this, but I guess we are.
Let's wait. What's the?
So I thought let's talk about the team first.
We've got some grievances to air about
I do
this,
have
that's
some
why we
grievances
wanna-
about the
that's why I wanna
assigned
cover it
seats.
We have a realist rant.
I see maybe a Homer rant. I see the positives and negatives of the assigned seats, kind of like you're alluding to. But let's talk about the game first and the team. So we obviously have some interesting developments. Let's talk a little bit about the depth chart, and before we get deep into the depth chart and what it looks to be, we can talk about Jaden Davis, who's exiting, as well as some other transferees that are practicing, some known and unknown people that are practicing, and what that means. Anybody got some strong views on those guys that have already declared, or that are probably in their heart knowing that they're going to be doing it, but are going through all of the spring?
I think it just goes to show that the coaches have come to him and pretty much Jaden Davis in particular and said, you're probably not in the plans to start, and you're going to be our first guy off the bench, but we're probably going with this guy and this guy. So he's going to try to take that opportunity and go probably a smaller school so he can get the starting job.
I just find it really interesting, and Jay can probably talk more towards what the depth looks like, or was looking like going into that. But I do find it interesting, especially with OU's cornerback depth and the guys that we saw out there last year in the rotations. If it was going to be any sort of indication kind of how the game plan was this year, which is, I don't think we're super deep at corner, Davis was going to get on the field.
Yeah,
with
quite a bit.
With what should be a better defense.
I mean, he's a
in my
2-year
opinion.
starter, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
So, I know it's the day and age we live in. I understand the portal, and I understand people needing to get out so that they can go get in somewhere
showcase
else.
their talents.
Right. I don't necessarily agree with something like this early from a guy like Jaden Davis.
I tend to agree with your.
So
what you're saying.
it would have been different if it was a guy who was getting nominal minutes last year and was fighting for a spot to maybe come off the bench, and the coaching staff says, hey, you're our number 3 at this point. But Jaden Davis was going to be a number 2 guy who, if he practiced hard and worked his butt off, was going to be fighting for a spot to get on the field consistently in games.
And that's not a
coming this
singular
year.
position either. Corner, that's 2 positions on the field in general, not
And
to
you can
mention
train
nickel.
Yeah, exactly.
If one of the 2 guys gets hurt, it's not like you're the backup quarterback
Right.
and you're never going to get to play because the
Right.
starter's always
Right.
going to play. If you're a backup corner, then there's a pretty good chance that one of those 2 guys is going to get injured
with
at some
a lot
point
of
in the
ways, they don't
season.
have to get injured.
Yeah.
They can just be not doing
mean,
well.
Well,
Yeah,
it's
they
a
could
one.
just
It's a
lose-
1B position.
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
1A 1B type.
If that
of
guy
situation.
gets
but
burned 3
you're
times
just-
in one game, you're in, and you may take that starting job from game 3 through
Right.
the rest
and
of
you
the
go
season.
earn it. Exactly.
My take on this, if positively, the only way this happens is like two ways. One, he sees the writing on the wall, right, and doesn't want to
have.
be a 1B player, right? He's spent his time in the
Well,
program.
maybe
He's been
like
here a couple of years,
2A or 2B.
and he wants to go somewhere and for sure maybe get a spot where he's on the field all the time. You can also look at it as we've been waiting to get in the type of players
Yep.
to process older players that aren't where we want them to be. Now, like,
Or just
would you
size, too.
Size.
Would you
Size is what I was about to say.
But
as
would
well.
you prefer one of the newcomers to be way down on the depth chart and keep Jaden Davis, who's only going to be one more season, or have him leave to make sure that this
Agreed.
kid's got more reps?
I agree. I'd
So
rather have the
Same
I take
conversation
it-
we had last year.
I take it positively.
Oh, I
that
do
you
too.
can lose a part-time starter, a really good backup player, because there is that much depth and talent behind him, which we have been lacking for a really long time.
It's addition by subtraction, right? I mean, I've had a couple conversations about this move specifically. You are getting rid of a guy who is smaller, that we have seen make mistakes in bigger situations or against big time receivers who he just frankly can't compete
Just physically
with.
limited.
Yeah. So I mean, as critical as I am of maybe him not sticking it out, from a holistic program point of view, I think it probably benefits us more so than not.
Well, I think it'd be better if he stays unless
And he
we
waited
need,
the spring.
Unless we need the
At
position.
At least
opened
he
up.
saw
I agree.
where he's at.
I agree.
At the
No,
end
I
of
take it.
spring
I take it
practice.
to be a pretty strong positive all around. I think it's a positive from the standpoint like you say, Jay, about that we've got potentially likely better players that we're replacing him with more longevity in front of them. But it's also good, I think, to have a
Higher
program
ceilings.
that's healthy and that is allowing a guy to try himself out and say, well, let's see where you end up, and let's give you some honest feedback and see where you want to be. And if it's not a good fit, we'll part ways and it'll be okay. I think that's good. I'd rather it be that way than, hey, you're either with us or against us, and you got to decide right now before spring ball begins or whatever. I'd rather have a healthy relationship where we can be professionals about it and say, let's go ahead and see where you fit into this mix. Because it's always a discovery process, right? You have to decide, you have to figure out here as he enters his senior season, it would be his senior season, is that right?
He'd be
I'm not
He
sure.
might have 2 because of COVID.
Maybe 2. Well, regardless, he's in the back half of his career in football. Let's see where you've developed and let's see where you get to, and let's see if you're a good fit. I would hope that it's something about what is the best fit for me and what I want to be. I would question the decision making if, and I don't know if this is the case at all, I'm not assuming it is, if he's thinking I would be better off going somewhere else and being the star player to try and get to the next level. Because I can't believe that's the right route.
It
Rather
doesn't have
than
to be just the next level, though. Sometimes you just want to play.
sometimes you just want to play, and that would make sense to me. So if you
Respect
if
it a
you're
little bit more
saying
at that point.
I would yeah, absolutely respect it, and I think it's a better decision making. If you say, you know what, weighing all the options rather than a gamble at how much I would get to play with a chance to come in and maybe shine. Maybe he knows he's kind of maxed out of what he thinks he can be.
He might be like, I'm going to go to SMU or a school
And be on the
that
field
size.
all the
Yeah.
time and
I'll
have
be
a
the
great
number 1
experience.
corner. Yeah.
And that's my last hurrah in football. That I understand. I hope, and I bet he's not thinking, no, you guys just don't know how good I am. I'm going to go to school XYZ, which is a clear tier or 2 below OU, and I'm going to shine there and get to the next level.
And
I
if-
don't think that's going to be the decision.
If you want to
making.
break it down and take away the cheetah position or the nickel position out of it, and you just got 2 corners, right?
Mm-hmm.
You've got Woody Washington locking up 1. A lot of people thought prior to his little
Gentry Williams.
physical mishap, right? Gentry Williams possibly having the other one. Then you've got Kendall Dolby, the JUCO transfer, which was the defensive player of the year in his league. So he's going to probably battle Gentry for that other spot. And then you've got, after that, you've got Kenai Walker, who played some last year, who was a transfer in from, was it Louisville? And then behind him, you have Jaden Rowe, who's injured, but he'll come back healthy. And then you got the freshmen, Makari Vickers and Josiah Wagner.
Who you hope can compete.
Yeah, well, if you listen to Gabe and Teddy's podcast, Teddy and them
I don't.
just
Well, you should listen to it after ours, but yeah.
Yep.
they rave about Josiah Wagner. Like he has shocked. I think even the coaches on like he is a dog.
And that's
But
that's
does Brent trust a true freshman corner?
but that's the
No,
kind of
he
my
doesn't.
point is I'm hoping at the end of the day when we look back on this move, halfway through the season, that it's like, oh, the Jaden Davis move was a depth issue on his part.
Yeah.
He figured out that, wow, we have depth finally, and maybe I wasn't this 1A or 1B or 2A, 2B position, and I wasn't going to see the field nearly as much. And you have, not even just at corner, but as we've
At
seen
all.
Brent, who wants to go and reform guys in different positions maybe to specialize them, which he was a corner given. But you have to hope holistically, like this defense is finding some structured depth that Davis said.
I mean, Davis isn't going to be.
It's outgrowing who Davis is as a player.
He's not going to be
Yeah.
a cheetah,
Right.
and the safety room is deeper than we've had in a long time,
Right.
talent-wise.
And bigger. They
So
want
he's
bigger.
not. He couldn't move there either. So he's literally just battling. There's just two spots on the field.
Yeah.
And I just named 6 guys, and that's without
Absolutely.
Jacoby Johnson even coming in.
And I also
moving
think the
early.
coaches probably sat him down.
I was
I don't
thinking
think
that
this is
too.
just a rash decision.
No.
Of, hey, I'm mad that I'm not going to be the starter. I'm going to bounce. I think it's more what you said about transitioning older players out
Yeah.
that aren't going to get the playing time and kind of helping them too. Say, hey, you can transfer to a smaller school and be
Yeah.
the.
I have a
lead.
feeling the coaches are very open with players in their spots.
Well,
on the team.
Miguel Chavis comment the other day said he's not going to apologize for bringing in or trying to bring in the best players to go win a championship. And if you are a player who's been here and you don't expect to compete, then that's something that you should consider. And that's not what he said, but the quote about the champion is, I want that mentality in coaches. Go find the best player and then go find someone who's better than him.
And I like it. It's not just the mentality, it's the honesty. That they're going to be honest with these kids and say, you are or are not fitting into this program. You've got a future here or you don't.
And we're not going to
And
hold you
tell
back.
them where
if
you're,
you
and we're
don't.
not going to hold you back, and we're not going to let you linger around here because, hey, we could use you as a tackling dummy. We're going to let you know right away, this is actually where we see you, and you'd be better off pursuing these other things. And, by the way, we've got some obligations if we want to bring in some players and we need depth in terms of just scholarship positions.
Yep.
So it would be better if you go and find some other home for you, a better fit for you and a better fit for
Frees
us.
up scholarship.
I mean,
for
you
us.
got to think how Ethan Downs and Grimes must have felt when you go out and get a Bothroyd,
Yeah.
and you get a
Trace
Trace
Ford.
Ford, and you get a 5-star PJ Adebore. We got to start producing. Like,
Yeah.
these coaches
I
are
love
not
the
going to wait
competition.
around. Like, this
Go work.
isn't my job.
Go to work.
Right.
And I think that's how you find established, a committed depth as well. You
Yeah.
see it with Saban. You see it with, which we've seen some of the Georgia guys transfer. But that's how it. Brent Venables preaches that next up, and it's not him, but it's everyone. That next up mentality.
But you have to
That guy
actually
has to be
do
a
it
guy.
and not just
yeah,
preach it,
he
right?
has to be
it's
a
not,
guy
it's not
who's
just
next up.
words for the fans and words for everybody.
Right.
Like,
Right.
you
But
really.
I think it is. I think they're going and finding those guys. And I bet, thinking about those Georgia guys in particular, I bet there's Georgia homers and Georgia fans that are beside themselves worrying. They see that hit the, you've just won 2 back-to-back titles. You're in great shape. You've got great coaching. If a guy who looks great on paper and has had production is deciding to leave, he's either probably a head case or he's not a good fit and there's somebody else
There's
that the
someone
coaches
better.
know that there's better.
Or there's
he's
someone
looking-
else coming
Or
in
he's looking
who's
for
better.
more cash somewhere.
Or he's like, yeah.
mean,
Which in that case, he's not a good fit, you know?
It sounds like that the dude that's leaving Georgia, it's an NIL situation.
Grabbing money.
Well, you don't probably
If you-
want that guy. Like
if you're
Brent
gonna
says,
if
you
you're gonna
don't look
leave
for that as a
Kirby
primary.
Smart defense
Yeah.
to go play for an Alex Grinch defense, there's
Oh, is that where he's going?
I think that's where
Oh
everyone
my
thinks
God.
he's going.
That is hilarious.
By all means.
Yeah.
By all means.
Good luck. Yeah, that's wow. So that's like if I were an NFL scout, that would be immediately you've just dropped 2 rounds and like just for the obvious mental problem that you must have.
Yeah. You're
much
better.
less the
You're better
attitude
being
one.
a career backup at Georgia than.
I mean, maybe he's going to get
Absolutely.
a heck of a Beats deal. Who knows?
Or a 1 year.
Oh, no, he might, yeah.
Or a 1 year start. I
No,
mean,
he might get that same kind of large NIL deal like a Jordan Addison got or something.
Has there been anybody else
I don't know, maybe.
outside of Jaden Davis that we've seen?
Corey Roberson.
Corey Roberson.
Yeah, that's right. Corey Robertson you sent the other day.
Yep.
That was
But so far that's
interesting.
it. And interesting enough, we still have more transfer portal guys that we're looking at different positions, and at least 1 or 2 are coming in for official visits this weekend. And our roster numbers are above the 85.
Right.
So
we
there's
gotta do
more.
something.
So there's some cuts.
There's
or
more
some
attrition coming.
quote unquote cuts.
Yeah, but the portal thing's only like 15 days or something, right?
It's not open
this-
very
The
long.
window.
But even if it's
Yeah, I
1 or
think
2
it's
guys,
like-
we got to have 1 or 2 openings.
I think it's like April 10th to April 25th or something
So
like
I think
that.
technically
And
we
right
have
after this weekend.
technically
Yeah.
we have like 75 or 76 on scholarship, but there's still 12 guys that
Right.
weren't early enrollees coming,
right.
and then we're still looking at more portal guys. So
Something's
there's
gotta
got to
give.
be 4 or 5 more
Yeah.
guys.
Well, we're going
that
to lose
leave.
2 quarterbacks, hopefully. Like, surely Bevel is gone.
You don't wanna lose
and
2.
Booty's probably gone.
I bet can both of
One
them
of
go?
the 2.
What do
So-
you mean, can both of them go?
Well, you can only transfer so many times and at least be immediately eligible. So
I don't think so. I think you can transfer.
I don't think so. I think you get 1 transfer and immediate eligibility, and then otherwise
Unless
that's
you're a
it.
grad.
I think
Unless you're a
that's
grad.
I don't know. I thought
We'll have
that
to
was
look
the
at that.
old rule.
I thought they changed it to where it was basically kind of an open.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
That's
I
what
think you
thought.
get one. You get 1 transfer.
Regardless, Bevel's been taking snaps with the tight ends, right? I mean, that's what we saw the other day.
Yeah.
I think it's just to be able to run plays.
Yeah.
I know, but I mean, if that's not speaking loudly to him, like,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to lose.
Oh,
I
you
don't
mean
want to
Jackson
lose.
Arnold didn't take snaps at tight end?
I don't want to lose. I don't want to lose 2 quarterbacks. I think if we lose 1 quarterback, that's probably healthy. I think it's I think a 3 deep at quarterback is probably necessary.
It'll probably be interesting
You
to
have
see.
to have 3.
You have to have 3. It'd be interesting
I
to
mean,
see.
we didn't have 3
We
when last
used
time
to
we
not.
won a
No, but you've got to have 3. I mean,
in
general.
yeah.
Patrick Fletcher was out there.
Yeah, I guess he was the number 2. So you would like to have 3, and you'd also like to have those guys because honestly, they've got to be looking at it saying, well, okay, I want to play football, but I'd also like some rings. And if they believe this is a team that
So
can
where are
get
they
some
gonna go
rings, yeah. So if they believe this is a team that can get some rings and they stick around, I think that's a good thing. So they're gonna try to get at least 2 years of eligibility, Big 12, SEC, and at least one of 2 national titles.
Uh-huh.
At least one of 2. Well, what else about the depth chart and players and positions that were?
So you mentioned
that
we
are
have some
interesting?
transfer portal. Who specifically from what positions transfer portal wise are coming in to watch the game?
There's an interior offensive lineman coming in. He from Appalachian State. He started 6 games at center, played a couple more games at guard. I think he has at least 3 years left to play. Apparently a pretty tough dude, physical, got an attitude. I don't know if that shows that maybe we're not sold on like Nate Anderson as a backup center, or if you just take as many big, talented offensive linemen as you can, regardless.
To build depth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, Beatonbow's not afraid to move him around either. I mean,
No, and not to get off topic, but for the first time in several years, it seems like the evaluations and the player rankings have started to actually line up, and we have good, young offensive linemen waiting in the wings to either take over starting spots or at worst get in games and be prepared to take over next year, which it seems like our evaluations for, I don't know, 2 or 3 seasons
Were bad.
Whether it's evaluations or some people think it's a strength and conditioning issue
Both.
or
a mixture
whatnot,
of both.
both.
Yeah,
or the
mixture
Bray
of both.
Walkers of the world.
Yeah, but so that's, like I said, not to get too far off topic, but that's the only one I can think of
definitely
right
on
now.
topic. I think that's good.
That's a
Transfer portal.
transfer
guy.
portal guy.
Anywhere we're concerned about?
One more. Sorry, Brendan Thompson. We were. It was down to us in Texas during his recruitment 2 years ago. 4-star
Oh, the wide
track
receiver.
guy, wide
Yeah.
receiver. He ended up going to Texas. He entered into the portal. All the crystal balls, all
Crystal
that,
balls are on
everything
OU.
are all on OU. And
I can't imagine.
I think it's gonna be the first. I think it's gonna be the first
Role?
Texas to
I mean,
OU.
It's like the Trace
Portal.
Ford deal. Just I can't imagine going to one place that is the hated rival. of the
Well,
other.
that's you and I as fans
Yeah.
who can't understand.
But I mean, you
that.
think about someone like Billy Bowman was a Texas commit until he wasn't.
Yeah.
And
That
for
happens.
so
that
many
happens
of
more
those
often
guys.
than going
It
to a
does.
school
It does.
for
But-
2 years,
but it's
wearing
still
all
the
the
same
gear all
thing.
the time,
Like-
and then flipping to the other.
Have we ever had a Texas to OU or
I
OU
know,
to
but
Texas?
I can't even imagine.
Oh,
imagine.
Casey Thompson.
Darrell Royal.
Yeah. Ryan. Oh, to
Oh no,
Texas.
Casey
Royal didn't
Thompson
go
didn't.
play
No,
at
he didn't come here.
Texas.
Darrell
Yeah.
Royal may as well fucking went and played at Texas.
So no, I think that it,
we had A&M. with
it's
Kyler.
odd, but it'd be odd to me to even entertain the idea of playing for Texas or Oklahoma State or Ohio State and then decide I'm going to go to OU. It's like if I were a kid, there'd be no doubt about where I was going. So it's hard for me to get my mind around any even recruiting battle, much less, if I played for one and then decide I'm going to flip
Go
to the
play for
other.
the
But
other.
then again, it's only been recently in adulthood that I could understand how you can go in the NFL and play from one team and then go to another that's a rival. You know, I get it, and it just, to me, you get that simplistic mindset of I'm a fan of this thing, and
But you look at Trace Ford specifically, and even in the case of the Texas kid who may or may not come, you look at the coaching staffs that recruited him, completely different. I mean,
Yeah.
you're working with completely different staff,
Yeah.
completely different guys who want to do different things. And I know from someone who is very close to Trace Ford that the way that OU went after him relative to the way that OSU went after him was completely different and completely, I mean, for lack of a better term,
Out of high school or
out of high school
Okay.
was complete. I mean, it was almost disrespectful in a sense.
yeah.
So,
Yeah, I've heard that too.
And then you get a staff in there who appreciates the player you are, and you look at someone like a Mike Gundy or someone like that who doesn't have a plan, doesn't have a path to what you want to be as a football player. The choice seems obvious at that point.
My point is, like, you line up in the Cotton Bowl in a burnt orange uniform one year, and you want to kill the other guy wearing the crimson or wearing the, whatever. And then the next year you're on that squad.
But it's not about
trying to go kill the guys from the other
But
team.
it's not about the
just-
Crimson. It's not about the Oklahoma, Texas. It's about your
about him.
players, and it's about who is your family. And your family isn't to us. The family is the Crimson, the Oklahoma. To him, it's the players on the field. It's the coaches that recruited him that he identified with. It's not growing up and going to that game for decades. And
Look
knowing
at
about
Kobe
it.
McKenzie.
So it's not the
Look
same
at Kobe
thing.
McKenzie. OU, Texas, OU, right?
Yep.
I mean, that speaks loudly right there. Which, from a fan's perspective, from the four of us sitting here, we can't imagine it. I can't imagine what Kobe McKenzie's family went through to say, I'm committing to this person leaves, I'm committing to this person at Texas, and then you get a guy like Brent Venables come in and say, no, like, let me sell you on what we're going to do.
How about Charles Thompson?
And even that.
And so his son, he spends his entire career, an incredible career and a jaded career and all kinds of problems at Oklahoma. His son, he has
His first
His
son.
first
son
goes to OU.
Goes to OU. His second son then goes to Texas and didn't get recruited by OU basically, and
No,
then
he did.
well,
Casey?
Yeah, he got recruited to OU.
how strong did he get recruited though? I mean, it wasn't.
As a 10th grader, he was strongly recruited, but then when the stuff blew up with his brother before he went to Utah, it was kind of like soured with OU.
Okay,
Because
well, that's what I'm getting at. It was soured. So you go to Austin.
Yeah.
And now you're wearing burnt orange as a father. I mean, that's got to be tough. And
Yeah,
then
that's
and then
no
he goes.
chance.
And then you got to
and
go
then
wear
he goes to Nebraska.
You got to go
Yeah.
wear the.
and to remember history, in 1989, Nebraska, in the ice cold rain, sleet coming down, he breaks his ankle in that game, and has to set out
If I'm a father
the
of a
Clemson
son
game.
that
It doesn't make
goes
sense.
to Texas, I would wear a white Texas shirt. I would never own anything burnt orange related.
Not only that, if my kid goes to Texas, I'm actively rooting against my child against OU.
yeah,
To lose
in the
the
Cotton
game.
Bowl.
Right.
Perform well.
Perform well and lost.
Yeah, if he's a corner, you're like,
Perform well
oh,
and
we have
lose.
two
Perform well and
interceptions,
lose.
but they lose.
Gracefully lose.
I hope you're
Yeah.
not the reason your team loses
Yeah.
today.
But if you are, I'm still not going to be super upset about it.
Yeah. No, it's tough. It's weird, and the emotions. You'd feel differently about it as a dad and as a player, I think. So I can see how they would make the flip if they think it's what's best for him. And honestly, that's the kind of guy you want, who is looking at it like it's a business transaction, to say, you know what, you're the right fit, Brent Venables in Oklahoma. You
Let's
got
go
the
win.
right thing. Let's go win. Let's get together. Well, speaking of winning, they got a different scoring format for this spring game. So it's going to be true offense versus defense rather than a full team versus a full team. What do you guys think about that?
Scoring format is crazy.
I don't care about
I'm
any of
indifferent.
it.
I don't care about
It's all stupid.
scoring either.
Well, I kind of like it, and we've done this in years past. I like it from the standpoint of it's a full unit that gets to play together and interchange on offense and defense, rather than you've got to split your team up.
Like two teams.
And you have two teams
Some
that are
ones,
not
some
very
twos.
good.
Yeah.
that are just not a
Yeah.
very good
Are they
mixture.
doing like 2 points for an interception?
I don't know. I
Yeah.
looked it up and I couldn't find anything exactly.
A turnover is 7 points.
They're also
I guess that's really the only chance I have to score, other than
And a stop. I bet a
one
stop.
back.
I
A
bet a stop is
a
something.
defensive touchdown is 12. So yeah, let's just, you guys want to run through it real quick?
Run through it.
yeah. That's,
So offense. So here's the offensive scoring for the red team. Touchdowns worth 6. Field goals worth 3. A punt, for whatever reason, worth 2.
what?
If
Yeah.
you force a punt.
no. If you're punting,
If you punt the ball, you get 2 points. You're guaranteed points on a drive.
What?
What?
yeah.
2-point conversions
I'm
are
out.
Wait. What?
You failed to get a first down.
Correct.
And they're
2-point
giving you
conversions.
Are you sure? If the offense, if they punt,
Offense.
If the defense forces a punt, so the offense will get 2 points, the defense gets 5. So it's a net 3. Defense,
I'm
why
out.
wouldn't it just be 3?
I'm out.
exactly. So they want to give those punters some credit.
No thanks.
2-point conversion worth 2, extra point worth 1. Turnover on downs is 0.
They get. I mean, no matter what the
Turnover on
punt
downs is
is.
0.
A missed field goal is 0, and a turnover is 0. Defensive scoring. Defensive touchdown is worth 12 points. A turnover itself is worth 7. Fourth down stop worth 7. A missed field goal, 7. Punt is 5, which the punt is where they messed up.
Field goal is 7
A
points.
made field goal, so the defense
Wait,
forces
wait. A field goal is 7 on defense.
No,
A missed field
A
goal.
missed
Oh, a
field
missed
goal.
field goal.
If the defense forces a field goal but the offense makes it, the defense gets 4 points. A sack is worth 3 points.
Who came up with this shit?
A pass breakup is worth 2 points.
This-
A missed extra point worth 2. Missed 2-point conversion worth 2.
So it should be like 65, 63.
So
No,
they
it
did a
should be
really
like
poor job of.
60 on defense to like 30 on offense when it's all.
I would even say, yeah, it should be 60-40 is what it should be.
What?
That is ridiculous.
What
One of the
really
sides-
bugs me is
Although
how,
if
they
you punt
didn't
8
net.
times,
They don't
that's
net.
60
how-
points.
why don't they net them?
Why don't they net?
Why would you both get some degree of points on everything that happens?
You gotta
That's
keep-
like saying a passing touchdown, the defense gets a point, and the offense gets 6. But on a running touchdown, it's 7 and 2.
You gotta keep the scorekeeper on his toes.
Yeah, no kidding.
Oh, my God.
There is no chance they
No,
have
there's no
they
chance
get
it's
it anywhere
accurate.
close.
No.
The score is irrelevant. What I hope for is that we have
Oh my
1
God.
versus 1s
What are
and
the
2s
old
versus
people
2s.
going to do? They're not going to know what to do. One
Yeah,
versus
I'm one of those
two.
people.
That's what I hope. I hope it's 1 versus 1s and 2s
That's
versus 2s.
my understanding. It's going to be ones on ones and 2s on 2s.
Personally, I don't want to see the number 1 offense against the backup defense and vice versa.
No, absolutely not.
No, definitely so.
Completely agree.
And I would hope and I would bet that you get to see some Jackson Arnold with the ones, just so that we can see what it looks like and get a little flavor for it
In
at
the
least.
second half, maybe.
Something, I don't know. Yeah.
That
yeah.
scoring system is horrendous.
That scoring system is weird.
Oh, it won't even be worth keeping up with.
No.
No.
Yeah, the score is irrelevant.
Pass breakup worth 2 points.
You just individually watch position groups or players that you want to see.
I can
perform.
understand things like a pass breakup is worth some points. I don't understand how both of the teams can get some points for things like a punt.
Or a
That
missed
doesn't
field
make
goal.
sense.
The
Or a
defense
missed
gets
field
7
goal.
points for a missed
Or
field
no,
goal.
a made field goal. It's a made field goal. The offense gets 3 points for a made field goal. The defense gets 5 points.
Yeah, but
Because they held him to a field goal.
Because
but
they
if the
held them to a field goal.
if the offense misses a 35-yard field goal, you're going to give the defense 7
No, I'm
points.
sorry. A made field goal for the defense is 4 points. For the offense, it's 3. So the defense nets 1.
But it's missed for the what is a miss? It's 7 points.
Missed
Missed
field
field
goal,
goal is 0, and a missed field goal for the defense is 7.
So
So
if the kicker just shanks it,
so if they go all the way down
Right.
the field and score a touchdown for the offense, that's 6 points. Extra points 1, so it's 7, like normal.
Yeah.
Yep.
But then on the next drive down, the offense goes down to the 20-yard line and misses a field goal.
It's
You're
7-7.
giving the defense
It's
7
7-7.
points.
it's 7-7.
Do I have to go
That
to
is
this
so
game?
stupid.
This is stupid. That is a
We're all
bunch-
going to be sitting there on Twitter following,
absolutely.
following like Eli, who's going to point, oh, this just happened, -5. This just happened, +3. This just happened, -4.
Well,
Like,
I'm
what?
gonna bring a notebook.
and see if they get it
I'm
right.
gonna log it.
It's
There's
going to be
no
like a
way they
baseball
got
game
it right.
when you're sitting there.
Keeping book.
And you keep,
I'm gonna keep book.
just to see how close you can get to what
There's
actually happens.
no way in hell. This is a bunch of. They got together and they got drunk and they said, "Let's come up with a scoring system."
Probably.
And
You know
the
who
coaches
did,
got
who did
drunk.
this shit? It was Ted Roof and Jeff Levy got wasted one night.
Exactly.
No,
Hey.
this is probably what Clemson does, and that's why it's all gone to shit.
No, dude, Clemson's
We
like,
got to
hey,
find out.
This is a Dabo situation.
If you
This-
don't point to heaven
This
after
is-
every single
this
play,
is Dabo's
it's
thinking
-5.
everybody
Well,
should win.
We got to get to the bottom of this. It doesn't make any sense. That is, I did not realize how screwy it was.
Oh, it's outrageous.
That
It
is-
is outrageous.
that is
And for the
insanity.
common man wanting to go watch a football game in April, it's horrible.
I mean, I've seen all kinds of different scoring schemes when we're going to do this. I've never heard anything.
you know what they should have done? They should
What's
have done
the
XFL
actual-
rules. Is what they should have done.
Here's
Different
my-
enough to make sense.
Here's my worry. If it's not,
NFL. What are the NFL?
XF rule.
Oh,
X-
XF.
XFL
I feel like if it was 1 versus 1s and 2s versus 2s the whole time, you would just keep a traditional scoring format. So I'm afraid that it's going to get wonky, and that's why there's a strange
But to
scoring.
keep a traditional
But for the
format,
defense
you would
to
have
be able to get points
defense to get
at all.
points.
Yeah.
They have to get.
You'd have to have
but
two
in
different
the past,
teams to
they
do
that.
Stoops did this one
Yeah,
year,
yeah,
and
points
it was
for-
like an
yeah.
interception was 3 points,
Right.
and a sack was a point.
A fumble was a point. A pass
Yeah.
breakup was a point.
It's
Stopping them
fantasy
on
football.
downs.
It's Sooners fantasy.
Yeah, let's do better
I'm not
than
participating if
that.
it's anything like that next year.
The idea that we need to
well ran.
award
If it's
both
this
teams,
bad.
you punt the ball and you get 2 points. That makes no sense. And you say, well, the other team got 5. Well, then give them 3
So
and
if
let's
it's,
be
so if
done.
it's 4th and
Net.
5, you're
Net
like,
it.
well, we can take 2 points for a punt, or we can go for it and try to get the first down.
Which you get 0.
Let's just
You'll
take
go
the 2
for
points. But then the defense gets 5 points because they forced a punt.
So you might as well go for it.
Exactly.
Oh my God!
It's massively counterintuitive.
Well,
Idiotic.
actually, they probably should just always go for it because you can work on your punting. No one cares. Are you going to run the punt back? Are they going to actually have? No, they're not going to punt the ball to a guy who can run it back.
No, Ted Roof's gonna.
No,
he's gonna
that's
he's gonna
stupid.
he's gonna message down and say, hey, I need a couple points.
Ted
here,
Roof's not doing anything. This is all Brent. On
They
defense.
should.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, no, they should never punt the ball.
Ted's not even involved.
In fact, they should
Ted's
almost
gonna
not.
be wasted in the press box.
There should be no field goals. Go for it on 4th down every time. No one's coming to see you kick a field goal. Line up at halftime and kick field goals or punt. No one cares.
That's what they should do. They should
Just go for it
They
every
should do
time.
a field goal punting competition at halftime to get the kickers involved.
Yeah, and
Don't
that's the
let
only
them-
time
don't
the
let them
kickers
play-
are out
yeah,
there.
don't let them play
Yeah.
the
Because
game.
you want them to kick under pressure. There is pressure of
What's
the fans.
the pressure?
There's pressure with
Well,
fans.
you give 'em
come
points during
on.
halftime.
Yeah.
Yeah, go put your fours
Yeah.
out there. Go put your fours out there on the line to be under pressure. You don't need. Yeah, that's actually a great idea.
Yeah.
Kicking and punting during halftime to score for the
score
teams.
points,
Yeah.
Yeah, and you make a red team and a white team, and you do
While the
you
coaches are
even
in
it
there
out as
ripping
much
ass
as possible.
in the
Yeah,
locker
yeah,
room.
exactly.
The kickers and punters are just out there.
Oh, that's
doing a point
that's
system.
great.
That's
The
awesome.
punter
Wow, we
tries to
should be-
drop it into a bucket on the 5-yard line or
So
whatever.
we should put all these ideas onto paper, and we're gonna send it in and say, Brent, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
this is
This is what you need to do,
crap,
buddy.
What you did.
God, this post game is going to be a disaster.
We should
There's
all,
no way to keep up with the scoring.
no, we should all keep book and compare notes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we're all like 30 points
What
off
score
each
did
other.
you have?
Yeah, I had 9 pass breakups. No, dude, there were 5.
Well, so instead of this, I guess there is some chatter about the idea that you would actually have like a team-on-team scrimmage.
Yes,
Yeah.
With
this
a
was,
true opponent?
It was the dude from Ole Miss.
Kiffin?
No, it wasn't Kiffin. It
Wasn't Kiffin?
It's the dude that used to be the Ole Miss coach, Hugh Freeze.
Oh, that's right.
Hugh
Yeah.
Freeze said, he's at Auburn now, is that right?
Yeah.
He said, I don't know why we're scrimmaging our own players in these spring games.
Yeah.
What you should do is bring in, who did he mention? It was 2 other Alabama schools. He's like,
But
Bama,
UAB and
Bama should
Troy?
play UAB, and we'll play Troy in a inter-sessions, whatever, inter-squad scrimmage, much like the NFL does. You know, if you watch
In preseason?
when you watch Hard Knocks,
Right.
they
they
bring
spend a week
in-
together.
They spend a week together, and they play like 2 games essentially over like a 5-day period, and it's like the Vikings versus the Colts or something.
I don't see how it would be productive to have
then
Alabama
the-
playing Troy.
The players, the
Or
quarterbacks
UAB.
still wear their off-color jerseys,
sure.
so you can't hit the quarterback. But then everything else is live.
I think conceptually makes sense. I think from a realistic standpoint of players and player safety and what I want my team to be, because injuries in college are so different than injuries in the NFL.
Yeah.
You cannot afford to be running 1v1s in an entire week, in my opinion, because those kids are
Well, it wouldn't be a week. It would
we're
just
not
be this
talking
game.
about a week.
okay.
It's just
Okay,
one
but
game.
even against
Like this weekend, we're playing North Texas.
Yeah, but
Well, here'd be the
But you
problem.
have a lot more incentive
Yeah.
to go play your butt off
Yeah.
and try to do things that you wouldn't normally do in a
Right.
in
And
a
there'd be all kinds
control-
of strategy
a controlled environment.
versus I'm going to try to test
To
things
work
out
on
to see.
things.
I'm going to work on things versus I'm trying to game plan. And now all of a sudden we're game planning.
Not if both coaching staffs
but they
are on the
wouldn't
same
be
page.
but they wouldn't probably be on the same page.
But there is a
think
OU,
they would.
OU
I
and
think they would,
Alabama
too.
would be on the same page, but Alabama and UAB wouldn't be. OU and North Texas wouldn't be. North Texas would be. We're going to do everything
Yeah.
we can. We have nothing
That
to
doesn't
lose.
do anything.
But
for
you're
them.
playing those games in September anyway, so you're just adding an extra off-season version, and it's in the
No,
spring, so the
but
injuries
it's a totally
aren't as,
different thing.
The injuries aren't as impactful because
No,
it's happening in April and not in
It's still
September.
you have guys that go down on Saturday. You're going to be pretty concerned about if they're going to be able to
Yeah,
start.
but that can
in
happen.
August.
That can happen
Inter
against-
squad
yeah.
anyways.
It's going to happen a lot more if it's in a live game situation with that type of behavior.
I mean, I think
I mean,
and
quarterbacks
those guys
wear
are going
blue
to have to
jerseys.
play.
Destroy
So here's part of the problem.
A running back and tear his
No.
ACL.
No,
You
here's
don't-
part of the
I mean,
problem.
it's not any
Are you going to
different.
put Jackson Arnold in? Period.
Yes,
No.
because the quarterbacks are wearing the.
Blue.
Well, okay.
Yeah.
Are you going to put the
That's
equivalent?
what they do in
of-
the NFL. The
All right,
quarterbacks are
all
wearing
right.
the off-color jerseys.
Set aside the quarterback. Are you going to put in a running back, a Sawchuk that
Sawchuk
you're worried about?
Sawchuk plays this weekend if we play North Texas.
Derrick Henry for the Tennessee Titans is playing against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers starting defensive line, and they tackle him.
And he probably shouldn't.
And he probably doesn't play very many downs in the preseason. Those guys
Well, no,
don't.
but half the time our starters aren't playing past the middle of the second quarter or whatever they're calling this nonsense.
Yeah, I bet you'd play him
whatever this
even less.
nonsense is.
Or if you have a young guy who you're worried about, like a Jackson Arnold, but not at quarterback, you're not going to play him because you're like, I'm not going to throw that guy out there into this environment. What am I going to learn from that? Versus he's going to get teed off on by some guy no one's ever heard his name and no one will ever hear his name from North Texas who is going to say, yeah, you know
Then
what, I
we can't,
injured
then we
that
can't
guy.
play him
my
against
shot.
Tulsa. Then we can't play him against SMU this year.
But guess what? If something happens where let's just say Jackson Arnold is in there with his blue jersey or not, but with his blue jersey, and someone from North Texas, a freshman who's never going to get in the game this year,
Yeah.
like Steve said, wants to go and make a statement or just lose.
I don't think anybody would.
But lose.
Yeah,
it.
but
But
that-
what if he does? What
but
if he
to
does?
his point, that can happen the first game of the season.
But not in the same
But
respect
it's
because
not-
that's a
because
real
it's
game.
a competitive game. This means nothing. This means nothing.
That first game of the season doesn't mean anything either.
it does if you lose.
But there's no way the player.
So you're telling me
until
if you,
Tulane
if you
comes to town.
not everybody's on the same page on that deal.
so if you
Not
tear your
everybody's doing the
ACL
same
in a
thing.
scrimmage in April versus if you tear your ACL September 1st against UAB, there's some difference there?
Yeah, there is
Yes,
a difference.
because if my ACL in September, my ACL tear in September leads to us having to scramble and actually competitively compete, or maybe even lose that game. Look at Sam Bradford against BYU, like that kind of crap. Let's go say we scrimmage BYU. Sam Bradford hurts his shoulder. We all say it's no big deal.
You can't not play games worried about injuries.
You can, but you can play spring games without having to worry about.
No,
that.
you
no, because
can't.
these guys
You
are going to be killing
cannot.
each other on Saturday.
Yeah, you think people aren't going to get hit Saturday?
not the same way, and not on the same
way.
page.
What do you mean not the same way?
Their coaches
don't
have.
think
Their
they're
trying to get
coaches
jobs.
are.
You don't think a corner that wants that job
So-
is going to smack the shit out of Sawchuk on the corner?
Exactly what's going to happen.
No, I'm
though.
talking about OU guy.
But that's going to, and that's why Sawchuk's not going to see many plays. And so OU doesn't want to put a product on the field
But
that gets
player-
beat by North Texas in a spring game.
You don't have enough players to not to do that with all your positions all over the
And
field.
here was Hugh Freeze's point in this whole situation, to slow down the argument, is he's risking his offensive guy and his defensive guy at the same time hitting each other, where you have Woody Washington comes up to hit
Yeah.
Jaden Gibson, and they both get hurt.
Well, let me put it
Whereas
this
if
way.
they were playing North Texas,
There's a
only
reason-
there's only a chance of one of your guys getting hurt and not two of your guys.
There's a
getting hurt.
reason Hugh Freeze and Auburn wants to do this shit. And Alabama says, no way in hell
I
are
don't
we
think this is
doing
the first time
shit.
this has ever been brought up.
Well,
It's just the first time it's made the news.
Well, I'm saying still, it's always going to be those kind of guys and those kind of programs that are going to say, yeah, let's do this. They got less to lose and more to gain.
Auburn's not some-
Oklahoma
What's your
has
answer
more.
to the two against one, or the two possibilities of an injury with a head-on collision, as opposed to only one of your guys and the North Texas guy?
Yeah, all of that can happen, but you control.
It's more controlled,
You control
exactly.
everything that's going
It's
on
more
there.
control.
You
Control.
do not control your corner, an OU corner Saturday, tackling
Oh, yeah,
an
you
OU
do.
runner.
You
Yeah, you do
absolutely
because
do.
he
Because
knows
if
he's
you-
got to
you get-
face Brent Venables for the rest of his college
he's getting his
career
ass
if
beat
he did
the
something.
day after.
They are
Yeah.
not telling their players to not go make full speed tackles Saturday.
They're telling them, I guarantee you, they know and they expect their players behave differently when the guy on the other side is not a member of his team.
Well, then just scrap the game.
What about the video of Deshaun McCullough blowing up that play
Yeah.
the other day? You think he laid off of him?
No, I think that's
he
what
blew
they
his
want.
ass up.
I think they want.
'Cause that's what they
No,
want.
I think they want physicality, but they want a limit. I think they want to have both worlds, and to a degree they think they can get it, and at the very least they can control the environment.
If
trainer
to
Deshaun
make sure they do
McCullough
it.
concusses Gavin Sawchuk on that play, it's a much, much different story. It's a
No, it's not.
Every
Yes,
trainer
it
in the
is.
world
It
will tell you
100% is.
you will get more injured going half speed than
Exactly.
going full speed.
Exactly.
Well, I'm not telling anybody to go half speed.
Well, how
That's
can you
what you just
tackle?
said.
How
No,
can
I'm
you
not.
No, I'm saying you play different. I'm saying you play different in those type of situations. You say, "Hey, we expect you to give full effort, but do not go and put yourself or someone else at risk by being just
Look at the depth.
And you
laying
don't, you
everything
don't
on
think
the
that
line.
should be free,
Look at the
you don't
depth.
think the North Texas coach that Venables and say it's Seth Luttrell there still. You don't think Venables and Seth Luttrell get together for the game and they both say, "Hey guys, We're playing a full game.
They can say whatever
but
they
don't
want.
be trying to hurt the other team.
They can
because
say
they're
whatever
just-
they want.
They're
They're
wearing
just college
it
kids.
doesn't
just
that
like
other
you.
team
It
is
doesn't
wearing
matter.
a different color, and I want to go and do
Yeah.
damage on
Well,
the other
this
team.
weekend
what
we
you're
got
telling
guys
me-
wearing red and guys wearing white.
And here's the difference. North Texas depth is is 2/3 of OU's depth, and so they're going to play players the whole time. And Brent's going to be looking across the field saying, "All right, in that environment, Seth, if he was still there, you need to get those guys off the field. We need to face your twos." And he's going
And
to
Seth's
go to
like,
hell.
no, I want to work on
We're
it.
All right.
working on our guys.
All right, Connor, you and I, we're both trying to win this corner position for Saturday.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You go on the field. Running back comes around the corner. You get pretty close to him. Maybe could have tackled him, but you didn't really give it your all. You
No,
come off
I'm
the
not
field.
saying I don't
You
give it
come
my
off the
all.
field. I get on the field. I come up and I blow up the running back. You don't think you're thinking to yourself, "Damn, I should have blown up the running back. Maybe this kid's gonna get ahead of me."
I see both sides of it,
I
but I'm
get-
saying
I
it's not
understand
an
what you're saying.
astronomical argument
I get
to
what you're
say
saying.
that this could be a thing.
That's
because
fair.
The NFL's been
it's not
doing
a
it for
black and
20
white.
years.
It's not a black and
of
white
doing
thing.
an inter-team scrimmage, and their injuries are not horrific. It doesn't.
But we all don't watch that football because we know it's not the same
And you
game.
also have
and
a-
they don't play everybody. They don't play the starters. Tom Brady does not come out in a preseason game and play
No,
at all.
this is during camp.
But you also have these
Yeah,
these
this
NFL.
is not. This isn't.
This
the
isn't
preseason.
preseason.
August.
This is during camp.
This is in camp, like before they start
Every
playing
NFL
those
team
exhibition
does it
games.
in August.
This would be a.
This is literally at practice, like
Yes.
like they're going, they do their offsite, like Dallas goes to Oxnard, California, or whatever. Well, Dallas is going to play the Raiders in
On that-
camp this week.
Yeah.
It's
and then
not-
they play. But then they play a
but
game.
they are equally.
Then they play a game
not
after.
They are,
every time.
they
Most
are-
of the time,
but
yeah, they
they
do.
are fairly
Yeah, they
equally
do.
balanced teams. And so that's where I was saying that OU and Alabama could come together and potentially pull this together. North Texas and Oklahoma have no business being on the field together trying to do that. Because those are two completely
But there is
differently
zero chance
balanced
that
teams.
those two teams would ever face each other.
You have a lot
in
of argument within the NFL, even amongst players, who are saying we do not need preseason games. You have a lot of people saying that, and I agree with you guys. I see the
The
argument. from your
players
side
say
as
that,
well.
but the coaches don't. The coaches have to have that because they have to cut that roster from 80 to 53.
Right.
Exactly, and we're not trying to cut a roster at all. If anything, it's just a couple of players.
We
to
are
get
because
more
we just
in.
talked about getting rid of guys that aren't going to make it and
not
bringing
to
other
cut,
guys in.
not to cut it the same way. We're not trying to get
a depth in
yeah.
one. A depth between 1 and 2 in the NFL is not a lot of the time not nearly as significant as 1 and 2 in college.
And they're not trying to just cut; they're trying to cut to replace at OU. In the NFL, they're just trying to cut because they got to get it down to a certain level.
I agree. I think from
We
a
are too,
fan,
85
from a fan's
scholarships.
perspective, if I saw Oklahoma even versus a North Texas, or let's step it up maybe a level and go SMU, an Oklahoma versus an SMU in a preseason game, exhibition game, is a lot more exciting from our standpoint, right? I think from overall risk and benefit to risk, I think there's a lot more risk there than what we're going to go
lot-
watch.
a
I
lot
think
of
as a
risk.
coaching staff, I think you get a better view of what you got too.
I would bet there's no coach that at a program like Oklahoma who would have it entertain this for a quarter of a second, for every good reason. They'd say there's nothing to gain out of that. There's everything to lose.
So you guys want to see it, Lucas J?
I have no problem with
I don't.
it. Yeah.
I don't think it's a bad idea.
Yeah.
I don't think it's the best
I
idea
mean,
in the world.
if we don't,
but
do
I don't
it,
think it's a
whatever.
bad idea.
I think it would be interesting to see for. I think you trial it.
What about if?
I think it'd be
what
a
about
very
when-
bad idea.
What
think-
about when we move to the SEC? If all the SEC just does it interconference.
Well, there's still a Vanderbilt versus
everyone
somebody.
wants to play Vanderbilt?
Yeah.
Or
maybe.
Vanderbilt wants to play everybody.
Yeah.
But I mean,
don't
also
know.
they have high school does this too. When you're in high school, Westmore's playing Carl Albert in a preseason scrimmage.
It's even worse at high school though, because I've witnessed this live where the high school I went to scrimmage at Southmore scrimmages a Yukon, or actually I think it was Choctaw at the time, and one of our players completely annihilates one of their starting guys. It's a lot worse at high school. Let's even go to the extreme at the quarterback level. Some of these high schools have one guy who can throw a football effectively down the field.
quarterbacks are wearing other colored jerseys, so
Okay.
that's not a factor.
No, it's still a
Okay,
factor.
running back.
That doesn't make it impossible to hit them.
But in even one guy who can run the football, one effective running back, you have a star running back, a once in a generation running back that's going to be coming through your high school. one hit and it's game over. And I know that can happen in a regular spring game. I do think the extent that you can control it as an inner squad is much, much more than what you can control. As much as you want to say, you get two coaches together before the fact who say, hey, this is kind of what my game plan is. Here's what yours is. Here's when I'm going to take my guys out. Here's when you're going to take yours out. At the end of the day, competitiveness wins. And it doesn't just win at the coaching level, it wins on the field as well. And if I'm a freshman who possibly at North Texas is battling for that job as a corner who wants to go blow someone up, I don't give a damn who you are at OU. You could be Gavin Sawchuk, you could be Marcus Major, you could be any one of these guys.
Adrian Peterson.
You could be Adrian Peterson. Dude, I don't care. If I have a shot at you and that shot happens to be at the right side of your knee, I'm going to take it. And I don't think that happens in controlled environments nearly as much.
Well, I don't think it happens in respect to, and it's your example, Jay, if you're going up against the guy that is on your team versus a guy that's on an opposing team, the worst that can happen is you get blamed and they say, yeah, that wasn't great. You shouldn't have hit him that way if it's the opposing team. If it's a guy on your team, that you're going to have to live with that, and that's going to be a problem for you, and you know it. You're going to take the cleaner hit. And not just that, it's about who's going to get to play and how often they're going to get to play. North Texas or SMU or Oklahoma State only has so much depth. So they're going to play ones probably the whole time. And you're going to be trying to get into your number twos, and all of a sudden it's not your number ones that are going to get hurt. It's your number twos that are going to get hit. I don't think you're going to coordinate it. They're going to say, we got to play who we got to play.
OU brings their twos out, North Texas bring their twos out.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
No,
I think
OU's number twos against North Texas twos would be like me against small children in 5th grade.
Tell that to Tulane.
It would.
Or Army.
That wasn't their twos. That was their ones. Their twos wouldn't have a chance.
Our twos don't have our ones suck, much less our twos.
Okay. All
but
right.
see, now you're...
Well, then, yeah,
you're just
Alabama.
now you're
Pick a
just
different
getting into
team.
what you feel about the team. So, I don't know. It's an interesting concept. I think it'll be... I do think
don't
you'll
see
probably
that.
see...
My argument is they're not going to play patty cake Saturday.
But, I mean, at the same time, there's no... Is there any NCAA regulation preventing teams from doing this?
No clue.
So, I mean, if there's not... I mean, you may see teams start to do it. I do not think you will see bigger programs do it. I really don't. Yeah. I do not think... anyone who is a Nick Saban of the world or a Kirby Smart or a Dabo Swinney or a Brent Venables sees any sort of inherent value there to say, I'm going to go risk this.
Here was another downside. Here was another downside that some people were worried about. What if you have a North Texas player that somehow was under the radar, comes out, plays against OU, tears it up, and all of a sudden you've got people going, oh.
You mean Jeffrey Johnson?
This North Texas kid can really play.
At Tulane that played a season and dominated us, and then we bring him in.
Let's not forget, let's just a quick reminder to the audience. Tulane did beat USC in the Sugar Bowl? No?
Cotton Bowl.
Cotton Bowl. Yeah, I just wanted to throw that out there.
That's a good point.
So
that's interesting. Well,
that's a fun argument. That's a good argument.
That was fun.
Yeah, it's a good one to. It's interesting. I don't know.
Like I said, it's crazy that it happens at the high school level and it happens at the pro level, but it doesn't happen at the college level. And it seems like it could, even if it's not a scrimmage, like in front of the fans, it could just be
a week-long practice together.
Yeah, it could be a week-long practice together that they determine. It's like, it's 1st and 10 from the 30, and then we're going to work goal line situations because that's what they do in the NFL.
But
they bring those teams
but in
in.
the NFL,
I think
the NFL's a more refined product. At the college level, I think Brent's thinking, and those kind of coaches are thinking, I got a lot to work on, including building blocks. I don't have time to refine the game.
When the OU defense
and try to figure this
is going against
out.
the OU offense every time in camp, they know what by formation. They're like, this I can tell if this is going to be a dump off to the tight end more than likely.
True.
So our linebackers are sitting down waiting for that tight end to come across and get the ball and tackle him.
True.
When you're playing North Texas, it's a full-on.
And I don't know how they handle that. I don't know
you
if
get
they
to practice
ever
bringing in and installing a game plan for a.
I don't know if
team.
they count on these players. I don't mean to be derogatory, but they're young kids. They're brand new to it, being too naive, stupid, whatever you want to say, to not know what's coming.
Yeah.
Or if they have to change it up, because I agree. It seems like they should eventually, especially if you're a really good player, experienced in the system. Now, you're not in this same system, but fast forward for 4 years and you've been in Brent Venables' system and everything for 4 years plus, and you're like, oh yeah, I know exactly. Like Jeff Lebby's offense, I know exactly what this is.
It's like when I'm in the
I
end zone
wonder
watching
if
Lincoln
they have
Riley,
to-
I can tell you what he's going to call.
Exactly. I wonder if
8
they have
times
to
out of
switch
10.
that up, or what they have to do, or if it's just different enough. It's like,
Well, I think that's why you hope your defense
I don't know.
is, quote, ahead of your offense at this time of the year.
right, yeah, that's a good.
Well, and
point.
I think what you have to worry about, and maybe last thing on my part, is nowadays with NFL and these practices, these shared practices that you see throughout the week, a lot of it just becomes an ego fest and people thriving on that one trigger moment where you get the entire team to say, I'm OU or I'm North Texas, and you see this brawl or whatever else. You see that happen in the NFL with people who have been in these controlled environments for 4 years or 5 years, whatever, or a couple of years in college. How are you supposed to control these 18, 19, 20-year-old kids from not losing their crap and doing the same thing? Because A, it's what they see on social media, and B, it's just because it's what's getting the most hits, it's what's getting the most attention. Like, I don't know, you get a lot of egos involved of these kids who don't know how to handle that. We see it with adults. We saw Aaron Donald swinging helmets at people last year. You get
I mean, if it's been going on in high schools for 50 years of them doing these inter team scrimmages,
But those
you
are
don't hear
very
about these massive.
Those are
brawls or
controlled in a
anything.
different way.
I think the
there's
kids
some
feel like
norms
they have-
there.
16-year-olds are way
the kids
more.
Have, the kids have way more to lose in high school, though, in my opinion, than maybe what they perceive in college.
or
You're
less to gain.
or less to gain. You have a bunch of kids who have been recruited, highly recruited, who have maybe even
Hell,
are-
that kid who wants to go from North Texas,
Texas
to
to
Oklahoma,
OU, who
he's
said,
going to
"They
say,
didn't
"I'm going
recruit
to."
me."
There's Brent Venables. I want to impress him.
Yeah.
Like, remember when I hurt your running back?
I don't know. It's
Oh, you mean like Reggie Pearson knocks out Dylan Gabriel and now he's on our team? You mean like that?
yeah, that.
well, we don't talk about that. So.
Anyway.
that defeats my.
Well,
Let's move on.
That's very good. So let's talk about what else should we be watching for in what will be the actual spring game of OU against OU. What are you guys looking for? Are you looking for the defense to be ahead of the offense? Is that what we'd like to see?
Jay, you had some good input on this the other day, kind of just where we might see some thin depth. I think you said at running back and an offensive
Yeah,
line.
running back will be interesting because with Barnes out and Major
Sawchuk on the side.
Major out, I don't know how many carries Sawchuk's going to get. I mean, you have to give him some. He's got to get 15 carries. I would
So maybe
think.
a quarter.
And then
Hicks.
the young guy Hicks, yeah, I don't know. Smothers has been
He's got
a
a
little bit of a hamstring or something.
he's got a club on his arm.
I don't know. I don't know how much you're going to see.
That,
Honestly.
and that kind of limits your play calling and limits some of the things you'd like to do. It's kind of interesting from a Jeff Lebby standpoint of understanding exactly if he's going to be able to explore a lot of stuff and see what these guys can do in front of the fans. And I do think there's value in front of the fans. I think you want to get an environment that's game-like from that standpoint, and you want to get guys experienced to a degree with seeing that, especially the guys that just came in as true freshmen and early enrollees.
I bet the leading ball carrier is Tawi Walker.
No.
Which I think he may have been our leading ball carrier.
Yeah,
last
and
year's spring game.
second might be Hicks. You know,
I'd like to see Dylan Gabriel be able to throw over the middle of the field. That'd be nice to see.
Yeah.
That'd be a good look.
I'm excited to
Absolutely.
see the tight ends, the tight end group. I mean,
I don't
that's-
think there's much
I think
there.
it's just one.
It's just Stogner.
you don't think Llewellyn or
I don't know. I don't think they're going to suit up, huh?
No.
really?
Well, I would like to see crispness out of Gabriel.
What's the one? Is it Helms?
Case
Is he a
Helms,
tight
yeah.
end? I think he might play.
Whether he's whoever he's looking for, be it a tight end or somebody.
Yeah.
I'd like to see him be able to hit passes over the middle. I'd like to see just a crispness, like he knows really a control and a mastery of the offense.
See this?
That he really feels like you get the impression that he really has a good feel for what's going on in the game, and that's something that obviously was hit and miss last year.
The dynamic of the spring game is always funny because if Dylan Gabriel comes out and just tears it up like
No.
you're talking about, the
Defense
Christmas,
sucks.
the deep, defense is horrible. What are we gonna do?
Yeah.
It depends.
Offense
how
can't
it
move the
looks.
ball at all.
Defense
Do they
awesome.
suck? Is
It
defense
depends
awesome?
how it looks.
What does it
You
do?
want to see, like, while when the defense was in position, they made their play, made their tackle and all that. But you'd like to see like, wow, yeah, that's pretty tough against air, and he did it. You'd like to see he really read that situation and he put the ball where it needed to be. What you don't want to see is have him throw a ball like Manning did at Texas over and over and over again. Where, I mean, there were guys I could have hit some of those passes, and there's some I didn't know what he was doing in some of those clips.
Like, how do you feel if Bothroyd is in the backfield all day, has 4 sacks,
or PJ?
If
right?
he makes
His offensive
great
line
moves,
suck?
if he makes really great moves, and you feel like he's just dominant, I don't know. It's subtle, and you can see what you want to see out of that. But I think that you can look at it, and it could be a thing that you're okay with, or it could be a thing where you say, "Wow, we got problems on offensive line."
I think at best you want all those positions to pretty much come down to a 50-50 game.
Yeah.
Like, Jaden Gibson went
Ideally.
up and made 2 really good catches, and then on 2 other plays,
he couldn't,
the defender
it was
knocked
just
it
right
out of his
there,
hands.
knocked
It was
down.
50-50.
It was a perfect ball, and he was just right there.
I mean, if it's true 1v1, I'll be interested to see that initial defensive unit that we roll out across the board. I mean, interior line, I'm really interested to see. Laulu apparently has been doing pretty well inside. I'm really interested to see who we roll out on the edges, whether it's a Downs or a Ford or someone like that, or a McCullough, who apparently has been just, I mean, we saw the video. He is at the edge, right? Or is he
No,
inside?
he's
inside,
he's a
right?
cheetah.
Oh, that's right. So he blew that play up from.
Well, I think he moves around.
Was he?
That was like
Okay.
that was
That's what I thought.
a
Essentially, that was
goal
like a
line
DN.
situation.
Yeah, he was like a-
like kind of
yeah.
like a standing up
Yeah.
type of guy. So,
And again, was that play?
the Dan Cody.
Did someone not block
miss an
him?
Yeah.
assignment.
It
Yeah.
was like Clown. It was like Jadeveon Clowney
Yeah.
against Michigan.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
what it was.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Guy missed the block. He just ran
just
right through and just
destroyed
buried him.
And I'm excited to see what we roll out in the safety and the linebackers. I mean, our linebacker core is pretty interesting, to be honest. I mean, whether it be Stutzman or Kanik, or, I mean, you have someone who's been in the system for a year in Kobe McKenzie, who I haven't heard a thing about. So, I mean, and you got some
Kobe?
young guys in there. Yeah.
They've been
I
talking
think
him up.
Kobe's
Have they?
Yeah.
a chance to.
To play?
If
He's
we- well,
50-50 with him and Kanik. I mean,
If
he
we
might
had a
win the
4-3
job.
linebacker, if we had a 4-3 setup, I think it's Kanik, McKenzie, and Stutzman.
Okay.
But we don't because this defense is not set up correctly. But that's another story.
Fair enough. So, no, I think that initial unit on defense will be interesting. I think.
Defensively,
I'm
you
excited.
probably want to see no busts,
Yeah.
and how do you fly to the ball? How do you?
You want,
How do
if
you
the
s-
offense has success, you want it to be success
Competitive.
they had to really work for,
Competitive
and a
success.
good tackle, gang tackle on the point of the ball. I think the ideal,
But not too hard.
not too hard. I think the
Exactly.
ideal series or down would be, you've got Gabriel. He has to look to his second or third read, and that read is still something he has to tightly get in there, and the guy gets tackled
As he's
immediately.
getting rushed.
As he's getting rushed.
Yes.
Exactly. And so you're
Someone in his face coming off
under
his,
pressure.
He has to
Pressure.
roll just a little bit.
under pressure,
Yep.
he's finding his second or third guy.
Yep.
So the guy didn't come free, and he wasn't able just to sit back there and act like he was playing against air. And yet he was able to look to the second or third read,
He
find
throws it
that
to Drake
guy.
Stoops over the middle for 8-yard gain.
There you go.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm really nervous about Gabriel still. I don't have. There's nothing there from last season.
No,
there's
we have
not-
Nebraska.
There's not a lot of confidence.
He looked
It's
looked
interesting.
good during the Florida State game.
We were not.
He did.
We were a good offense in the
Grand
realm of
scheme
college
things.
football.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But for us, it was just not where it needed to be.
Well,
But in general, we were a really good offense.
But for championship contention, you're not there.
no.
Yeah. And
We were better than a 6-7 team on offense.
Yes.
Right.
We
We were better.
We were
than-
like an 8-4 team on offense.
I would
feel
say
like.
we were better than a
offense,
6 and 7 team on defense and offense. We just couldn't put it together at
When
the
it
same
mattered.
time when it
Yeah.
mattered,
and didn't manage the clock.
and didn't manage the clock. I think if you improve
Damn,
those things,
we should have a coaching
it would
challenge
be
for clock
there.
management.
yeah,
Should have a what?
A coaching challenge for clock
Yeah.
management.
they ought to have some something in the scoring system for that. Well, let's talk just briefly about what we think. We talked about the attendance and what we think it might be. My frustration and my concern, I'm a supporter of the university. I'm a supporter of these guys. I really like Joe C., but I'll have to say I have a lot of problems and doubts with his administration and how they handle this as a business, and it is a business. I tried to log in for 2 straight weeks to take advantage of their season ticket holder, buy
$10.
your tickets for $10, and the website never worked. And the first day it worked was this week, and it was on Tuesday. And so I log in for the first
The
time.
Tuesday
I'm
before
able to
the
work
spring
in.
game.
The
Tuesday
Tuesday before the
before
spring game. So I log in to finally try and buy my tickets, which we have to buy exactly tickets, row and seat. We have to buy specific seat numbers, which we started to talk about this. My pro and con to that is I do understand the desire for organization, but at the same time, there's something kind of cool about historically you show up at the spring game and you just find a seat. And you intermingle and you sit where you want to sit. And when there's 40,000 people trying to fit into a 75, 80,000 seat stadium, it's not a problem. If it's 75,000, yeah, we might have problems. And so you probably need assigned seats. Now, last year they screwed up, and it wasn't even assigned seats last year
at all.
And they ended up opening the gates and not even doing the ticket scan because people were waiting in line to get in at
during
kickoff.
during the first quarter.
So-
But was it a problem?
half.
Was seating a problem last year?
No, I don't think it was a problem.
Was anybody fighting like
I don't.
want this
as far
seat?
as I know, they weren't.
Yeah,
I didn't
that's
see
what I
it.
thought.
I didn't see it
I don't know. We were
But-
pretty. We were there early.
and we were kind of
And
removed.
I do remember going down at one point to the concession or to the bathroom or something. The stadium was packed. I mean, if someone wanted a seat and didn't get it, it was because there were a lot of other people there. Even up to our seats in the really high end zone seats
That nobody wants.
The
Really
best seat in the
not a lot of
house.
people want. We did get pretty full up to that
Yeah, but you
point.
weren't paying $100 a ticket. Like, you can only be so upset with your
I don't think-
seats
Well,
for
it's not
I don't
about
think anybody's
upset.
upset.
It's
I
just
think it's just a
about
matter
I'm
of
trying to
being
find
there.
where to be.
Yeah.
You know, I've got 5 people with me, and I'm trying to find where to be. And you got somebody who's, you know, the good thing about assigned seating is this is my seat, and you can move someone who's kind of doing a little of a 5 people over 7 seats. You can say, hey, this is my seat. You need to scoot down and get into your position. So I understand their point of view of putting it out there as assigned seats. The problem is you need to execute on that real well, and they didn't. So I am finally able to log in, and I go to make my ticket purchase, and it's $15 a seat. That's not the advertised seat. So I call up. I call the guy. I wait on hold for 15 minutes, and he picks up the phone. Very nice, a young guy. He's probably a student who works there, and he sounded exasperated. And I said, "I bet you're having a hard day." And he said, "Yeah." He goes, It wouldn't have been quite as hard if they wouldn't have opened the season tickets for students today." And so in their planning, they made, and I didn't realize this because he said if they wouldn't have opened student seating. I thought, well, that's interesting, student seating, because my daughter, a student, already got her spring game ticket 2 weeks ago. Well, no, they opened season tickets for students on Tuesday before the spring game, the same day that they finally got the website to work. So he'd been inundated with people trying to buy tickets. I said, all right, I want to try to buy tickets. I said, I'm going to try to buy 7. I only got 4. He said, not a problem. I can get you there. And I said, I'm on the website. I think these seats are open. He got me those seats. He was very, very helpful, very nice. But this is their premier event. This is their showcase in the spring for the football season. And they are completely, to use a little bit of a metaphor, pun, they're fumbling. This is a mistake. This is giving people a really bad impression of OU football. This is giving people another reason to decide, I don't want to be a season ticket holder. I don't want to come to OU games. I can watch it at home. This is fine for me. And to me, it really bugs me that they aren't thinking about the customer, that they aren't putting out a product from soup to nuts that really works well and gives a great experience to people. It is one more reason for someone to say, you know what, that was a lot of hassle and a lot of trouble. It's an opportunity. I think they're going to celebrate the women's gymnastics team in this game for winning the national championship. They're going to celebrate Kyler Murray. There's a reason you want as many OU fans there as you can. You want a good experience. You don't want them to come there and say, you know what, that was a pain in the ass, and that was just a spring game. I'm not going to go through that hassle and go down there for a game. And they keep, I think, taking fans for granted and not doing what they should be doing to have a good experience and make it a good atmosphere for people who are the customers who they need to be. And I mentioned this to Connor earlier. You're going to get some bump for going to the SEC. You get that bump once. You get one shot at that, and that's it.
Well, that's what I was about to say. Is you exactly that is you have one chance to literally cash in on this move, and you have a very, very small window to capitalize on what should be a monumental advantage to your program from an on the field, an in-person experience. And the year leading up to it, like you just said, is you are fumbling an opportunity.
So it's frustrating to me. I want them to do well. I want them to succeed at everything they do. I went to one gymnastics meet this year. I root for them just in spirit. I followed the fact that they were in, and I kind of take it for granted that they're going to be competitive and maybe and hopefully probably win the national title, and in fact they did.
Shout out Trout Wine. Met her mom at the airport. So.
There you go. And you know, and you look at all of the sports. I want them to do better because I want them to have success, and I want it to be a good product, and I want it to be something that is a great experience, and all of it builds upon itself. And this right here, this is the cash cow. You can't mess this up. And they keep just trying to just look a gift horse in the mouth to just completely, repeat metaphors here. But they are not taking it serious, it seems like, about how do we do a good job of putting a good experience. And let's just take a bet. Who wants to take the over-under on will concessions be well run on Saturday?
There's no chance.
There's no chance.
And I don't get some concessions at OU games, so
and
it doesn't
that's
affect me in the
awful.
slightest.
That's awful. And you should. Or you should, and I'm not saying you should,
but you should be encouraged
You
to.
should be encouraged
You should be encouraged
to. You
to.
should, one of the reasons you should have to do it or not do it shouldn't be, well, I'm not going to do it because it's a pain in the butt. And it's bad, it's a bad value for the money, and I have to wait. And it should be like, well, it's just not for me, I'm going to save the money. Not, you know what, no, there's no chance I'm even going to bother with that, and I'm going to plan around it. That's bad. That's really bad if that's what's happening.
Yeah, the fact that OU has not given you that incentive to go experience something like a concession or something good in the concession area or in the extra fan experience area, it speaks loudly, right? I mean, to your point, Lucas, you sit in your realm in great seats. You have a back. You have everything that you need for what you want. What you don't have is convenience, and then you don't have when you do choose to participate in concessions or anything extra outside of the football game, you don't have quality. And those two things by themselves are massive, massive knocks against what this administration has done and they've done some awesome, awesome things. But
if you're in the South End zone, you're hooked up because it's super nice over there.
Exactly.
Right.
And then even the bottom of the east side is nice. The walkway's way bigger underneath the stadium on that side. There's more concessions and stuff like that. But if you're in the north or the west,
you have about a
sucks.
25% well-functioning stadium.
Yeah.
Think about this. Think how many between the two of us or the three of us and Jay, so you're in there too, but how many hacks we have to have a good experience. Hacks on where to get in line, which entrances to pick, where to and when and how to get a concession, when to go to the bathroom. None of that should have to happen.
No.
We shouldn't have to hack our way through it. It should just be something that just like I go to a good venue. It should just be, those things are just absolutely the standard.
Well, and what sucks is it creates bitterness within the stadium. And an example there is within our section that Steve and I sit in, to get up and move around or to get up and go experience a convenience or even something as simple as going to the bathroom. Walking past those people, you would think that a lot of them are having to forfeit X amount of dollars to move out of their way for you to pass them. And it's just because of the way OU has it set up. I don't know. It's just
Yeah,
I don't know.
it's
When
pretty
you went to
poor.
Tennessee, did you use the restroom?
That was a travesty.
I mean, I've never experienced a worse sporting event.
They did have one functioning
Restroom.
restroom on the
Really?
upper deck of the entire stadium.
It was
Wow.
the size of a on-cue bathroom. No lie.
No, in
An
legit.
on-cue bathroom
And they had
for
two- they had two-
100,000
They
people.
had for 50+ thousand people. They had 2 functioning bathrooms.
That was the
upper
worst
bad.
I've ever seen.
That's like
Ohio
that's like,
State was a
Cotton
little
Bowl
better.
in Fair Park.
Ohio State was better than Tennessee. It was probably a little better than OU, but of all the stadiums I've been to, now granted some of them were like, the old Baylor Stadium. There's only 30,000 people in a 55,000 seat place, so it's easy there. Cotton Bowl, every one of us knows.
But to
how
that,
shitty
but to the
Bowl
Cotton
is.
Bowl's point, to that point, the Cotton Bowl has actually tried
Yeah.
to do things to make things better.
Yeah.
I loved Kansas State's setup.
Kansas
I've loved
Kansas
most.
State's good. Baylor's good.
great.
Baylor's new
I
one,
thought Kansas
yeah.
State was phenomenal.
Baylor
They've
is
got
great.
they've got great facilities. Great facilities.
We're
And
also talking about less people
Yes.
on a scale, though.
On a scale, yeah, but
But
you-
because
Because
they
you're
don't
talking,
make it- you make
talking
it-
53,000
but you
as
make it
opposed
function-
to
but you
make it
you
functional
scale
to that
the
population.
size.
Oh, I'm not arguing for the crappy bathroom situation in Oklahoma. I'm just saying Tennessee was a travesty. He got it correct with that. That was horrific. Ohio State was a little better than ours, but nothing great. Because I just
Yeah.
think when you're packing these stadiums were built in the 20s,
Right.
and they've expanded size for seating, and you've expanded bathrooms and stuff like that. But it's never going to be.
Well, it could be. No,
Easy.
it could be. What that tells me, my impression is you've got all of the, and we're talking. I mean, when you talk about Tennessee, Ohio State, Oklahoma, in terms of fan support, those are blue bloods, all of them. So they've got a product that they are taking for granted, and the customers they're taking for granted with the product they put out there, and the full service options, and they're going to have to step up their game, or they're going to realize
Lose
people
customers.
they're going to lose customers.
I went to Taylor Swift at the Dallas Cowboys Stadium.
We're not gonna. Yeah.
And
yeah.
the line for the women's restroom was astronomical, obviously, just based on the crowd that you would expect to see at a Taylor Swift concert.
Right.
But even concession wise, with everything open, there's still, I think she got 210,000 people over 3 shows, so 70,000 per show, in a stadium that claims 100,000 or whatever.
At full capacity.
At
with
full
students,
capacity, and it still wasn't ran well. I would say
Mm-hmm.
it was okay, but there was still confusion where to go for certain things. The lines weren't great, and
See, I wonder what
and that's
how the,
that's the
new
top of
Vegas
the line in
stadium
the
is.
United States essentially.
I would bet it's good. I would bet it's really good. Well, but here's the deal though. 2 things, not in their defense. I'm not trying to be in their defense, but one, that's a football stadium, not geared towards probably a. Tell me if I'm wrong. A 70-30, 60-40 female to male mix.
80-20.
80-20 to male, a female to male mix, and Taylor Swift is the Alabama of concerts, right?
Yeah.
And so not that it's right, but if you're winning championships constantly, you can get by with a lot of crap.
Yeah.
Remind me, how many championships did OU win last year? Not a championship of any kind.
Gymnastics.
Yeah, and so you're saying, all right, unless you are going to put an absolute champion on the field every single time, which you're not, you need to up your game on every other thing in terms of your facilities
To increase experience.
to increase the experience. Or don't rest on your laurels here. You can't just count on the fact that we're going to just show up because it's what it is.
They can with the 4 of us.
They can with the 4 of us. They can with Taylor Swift and her fans, because Taylor Swift, I guarantee you, she had to tell me, was that concert really good?
Yep.
It was really damn good. Tell me, how did it compare to any of the OU football games you went to last year in terms of your expectations? Did Taylor Swift, how close to matching
she
expectations?
overperformed compared to.
Tell me about any
Yeah.
of the OU experiences,
Yeah.
right? And so you've got to look at it that way and say, yeah, we've got to up the experience level. And like you say, on the South Side, they've done that. start to work your way towards that. And I understand that there's a lot of capital investment that goes into it, but at the same time, you can't just hold us hostage and say, well, if you don't pony up, you as a group don't pony up $100 million, you're just going to suffer through really crappy concessions and really crappy restrooms.
Well,
and
I
a
think,
bad
I think, unfortunately, that's what's going to happen over the next 4 years with this move to the SEC. Is because you are going to see this influx of people who want to go to games just to see the products that are on that
both
field.
domestically and abroad. You're going to have all the people coming in from all the
Exactly. But if OU does not perform to the level that they need to perform, it's going to be too little too late for the administration to say, wow, we did not do enough.
Did you guys read that article from the Northern
front.
Transcript that I sent where they I really like the fact I took it, my optimism, I'm taking it as a really optimistic thing that they had integrated the people from the Chamber of Commerce and the city officials, trying to everybody get on the same game plan about guys, we got to get this thing going, and it's got to be great everywhere. It's got to be great from traffic control. And hopefully we get enough people with some authority that can do that. Hotel rooms, everything. And I'm looking at the grand scheme of things like, let's stop preventing people from Airbnb-ing their houses and other things. We've got to open up all of this as an option. We've got to think about traffic control and how we're going to shut down a street and make it one direction. Maybe flood goes one direction coming into and then reverse out of Norman.
Yep.
And different things like that to make these game experiences really good, because we've got an opportunity here in Norman, just from a city standpoint, of really economically capitalizing on this thing.
Well, I
and
thought it was
making it a
wild.
great deal.
One of the things that stood out to me in that article was, I believe it was Arkansas, next to their baseball stadium, which is pretty close to their football stadium. They have a 500-spot RV parking lot that's filled for every game.
For every game.
We have absolutely nothing close.
And that's what my friend, the
to the
professor, was
capacity
saying.
for
He was
this.
saying, where are the RVs
I
going to
mean,
go?
Lloyd Noble, but it's not next to the stadium.
3/4 of a mile away.
Yeah.
My friend who's a professor who's from LSU, he said, what are you guys going to do? You guys got to figure something out. Something's got to give.
But I mean, it's little things too. Like
They run shuttle buses between Lloyd Noble and the stadium.
I think they do.
They do, but I think
it's got to be so much more, and that's so far away.
But they can add buses if they need to, though.
They can.
They can. They need to.
People
And they can
walk
have
on the
dedicated.
streets
They
But,
can.
yeah, exactly.
And they
exactly.
should.
You want the,
Yeah.
you
But
want
will
the
they?
experience. You want the experience of feeling like you were at the game. If I'm in the Lloyd Noble parking
Yeah, I
lot
don't
and
feel
I can
it.
barely see the stadium, not barely, but I can see the
You can
stadium
barely see it. I
way
don't know
off
if you
over
can
There's
see
a
there.
it.
parking
Yeah.
garage and stuff there now. Yeah.
So,
Yes.
but I mean, it's also little things. I mean, look at the security to get in the game.
Exactly.
The
Kentucky,
lines,
and I'm not
the
saying you shouldn't have it,
lines to
but
get
they
in.
said in
number of
Kentucky
gates.
they didn't have any metal
Open
detectors.
gates.
Yeah. How about you've got
Open all the gates.
30 gates and you've got 10 of them open?
Yeah,
Like,
open
come
It
on.
makes
all the
no
gates.
And that,
Or expand your perimeter and have the metal detectors if you want
way
all of that
outside.
stuff way outside.
Yeah.
I remember not
Do it
just
in the
at,
North Lawn.
not just at Kentucky how they didn't have metal detectors, which is what was in the article, but at Nebraska. They had guys with wands. Not everybody got wanded. They had cops there. They were looking at it saying, "Yep, none of these people are terrorists.
You went through
They're
two
going to be
checkpoints.
just
You
fine."
went through two checkpoints.
And it
you
was
went through an
fast
initial,
and
and then
quick
you went through
and
a gate.
easy.
Exactly.
It was
Yeah,
no
until
big
a guy
deal.
with a backpack shows up for a Kansas State game.
Any of that can happen. You have to balance your cost benefit there, and you have, if that's the case, expand your perimeter and figure it out from there. But don't make it a bottleneck.
Well, and you have
They just need more. They need more gates.
you
open.
have a
They
you
need
need
more
more gates
gates.
open, but essentially the guys that you already have working the metal detectors are Boy Scouts at best. Anyone who wants to sneak anything into that stadium is going to figure out a way to do it.
How many waters do you sneak into that stadium
one minimum every game.
every game?
So I mean, it's
Even if it's 30 degrees
In fact, that's my
outside.
beef against it.
It's
They've
laughable.
turned security, the theater of security, into let's prohibit people from bringing in conveniences, including alcohol.
Because the conveniences are
because
inconvenient.
conveniences are not attainable within the stadium.
Exactly.
It's too hard for you to get a water at the stadium, so you take one.
And that speaks loudly to, again, the administration and their staffing. They're not only understaffing within the stadium to get a beer or to get a hot dog or to get a water. We've experienced to get a water has been terrible. They're understaffing it at the gates to actually get in and go enjoy the experience. For you, Lucas, you are still having to deal with the gate. Someone who does not partake in any of the conveniences of the stadium, you still have to deal with a nominal number of gates being open, and waiting in line to get to your seat, regardless of whether or not you consume anything within the stadium.
Not to mention the attitude you get from the people that are checking you in,
Exactly.
as if you are a nuisance,
Yep.
rather than a customer.
You have to do more than what you paid for.
Absolutely. Well, another example of OU being OU, and it's what gives me, this will counter my optimism from that article and things. Real life experience. So my friend from work came down to go. He lives in Brookhaven, nearby, but not here, walkable, to go to the medieval fair. So he goes, and the advertising was that you could park at the Lloyd Noble. He comes down Imhoff. It's an absolute just nightmare of a cluster of traffic. There's a baseball game. There's a tennis match. The night before there was a softball game. There was maybe gymnastics going on. I'm not sure. But he said there was no coordination between any of it, and they'd prohibited any parking for the medieval fair that they had advertised at Lloyd Noble for the sake of if baseball and tennis had enough attendance. So they had cordoned off much, if not all, of the parking lot for that. And so you had people didn't know where to go. And that is another event that should be in coordination with OU to say this is something both beneficial to OU, beneficial to the city of Norman. Let's work together, guys, and figure out how we're going to make this all work. I'm not saying don't have that baseball game, don't have that tennis match. We can have it all. It can be a real fun experience with all of it. Let's get some coordination and figure out how we're going to make this work. Let's be rational about how many people are actually going to come to a baseball game based on, again, I could go off on a rant on the prices they charge for that and everything. How many people are going to come to a tennis match? Let's figure that out so that we all can make this work. They didn't. They seemed to be at odds with each other and be very territorial about what was going to happen, and the whole thing broke down.
And the Lloyd Noble could realistically host 4 to 7 events at one time. Not the Lloyd Noble itself, but the parking that's available at Lloyd Noble.
Yeah,
could host
events like this.
Could host everything that you just mentioned.
Yeah,
and move the medieval fair back to Duck Pond where it belongs.
It's way bigger than that. You ought to see how big it is. It's insane how big it is.
I've been to the medieval fair.
It's
over
way
Reeves.
way bigger than the Duck Pond. It is so
Oh, it's
enormous. It's way bigger than the Duck Pond. It's like the footprint of that is 3x the Duck Pond at least.
I tried to bring my medieval ship and put it on the Duck Pond, and they would not
big.
let it happen.
It is really big. They take up Reeves Park and the whole deal. It's pretty phenomenal.
But
I've been in the last 2 years. I didn't go this year, but I went the year before.
It's way bigger than the Duck Pond.
Point being, administration's not going to change their ways between now and when we join the SEC. It's not going to happen.
That's my fear.
I think your main motivation is going to be the feedback from
SEC
the away teams.
Yeah. I think you're right.
Well, you got to hope that doesn't fall on deaf ears. Because I know Castiglione has gotten more than enough feedback from fans themselves, whether it be us, whether it be people who have written in response to the water tweets 2 years ago against Nebraska when people were literally passing out in the stadium because they could not get water, and sets up Gatorade water
Troughs.
stations for people to go get free water. That is not a solution. That's a Band-Aid.
Yeah.
So we need to hope they find solutions. We need to hope they listen. I don't have a lot of hope they will.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think fan voices will be much less impactful than
Opposing.
away team traveling fans.
I hope you're right.
I hope you're right. I think that's good.
I hope it's not too far gone by the time the administration takes those and acts upon them.
Well, you only get so many chances for those away schools to think this is a place to go, and at some point they'll write it off. And
Well, good thing in the SEC you don't have to play teams at your own place like once every 11 years or something like that. So
Probably not anymore, though. I think they're changing that, so we'll see.
Hope so.
Anyway, well, we're gonna be back for a post-spring game pod. We'll break down the scoring system and
No, we
whatever
won't.
happened there.
Oh, I will keep a book. We will break it down.
We're not breaking it down.
And
We're going to break down the actual score relative to what we have.
And we'll talk about what we saw ones versus ones and
Real quick, players to watch. Anybody you want to see?
Dalen Gabriel. I want to see Dylan Gabriel
Anybody
be
else?
crisp.
Nobody for you?
Nobody for you?
I want to see McCullough. I want to see the McCullough at the Cheetah, and I want to see what he does. I mean, for everything we've heard and briefly seen, he looks to be like he's a dude. So
I need to see receivers.
I want to see speed.
I think that's too big of a question mark.
yeah, our receiving
this
core
point.
there is a question mark. on
I'd like
that
to
for
see
sure.
crispness and sure hands on receivers.
Do we hope it's boring? I mean, do we hope it's a relatively vanilla, like not boring in the
Yes,
fact that nothing
yes.
happens, but boring in the fact that hey, it looks like people are just kind of doing their job.
Yes.
What about you, Jay?
And then the
Who-
score is
who are you
60 to
looking at?
65.
Just to be different,
67, 60.
I'll go. I want to see McKenzie and Kanik, see how they battle that out.
It'd be fun. That defensive unit should be a good time to watch.
I want to see Kyler Murray.
Yeah, I'm gonna make a shirt. You guys want a shirt? We're gonna make a Kyler shirt. So.
Nice. All right. Well, we'll be back for that. Until then, Boomer.
Sooner.